Good Tuesday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. In this video, we'll be talking about a winter storm moving across the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, and the Northeast here these next couple of days, followed by some very Arctic cold air across the United States as we move through the rest of this week and especially into this upcoming weekend. And then another storm system may take aim on the middle of the country as we move in towards that Thanksgiving holiday weekend. Welcome back, everyone. Looking here this morning, we got lots of colder air across portions of the Midwest and the northern plains this morning, waking up to temperatures in the teens and also single digits across portions of the Dakotas back into western Minnesota, and then even some teens and 20s back down into portions of western and central Kansas, Nebraska, much of the Rockies, and even as far south as northwest Texas. Yes, we're actually into the middle 20s down into portions of Amarillo and Lubbock, Texas here this morning. Looking here as we move as we move a little bit farther here with the wind chills, you can definitely see wind chills are very cold across portions here of the upper Midwest and the northern plains. We can see single digits to near zero wind chills across North Dakota especially, and getting down here into South Dakota, northwestern Minnesota. Again, that's where the deeper snowpack from our recent snows have been, so that's why the colder air is a little bit more amplified across those areas. Looking ahead to our winter storm across the portions of the eastern United States, we actually do have winter weather advisories across portions of north central Illinois, much of Iowa, getting into northern Missouri, and even eastern Kansas. This does include the Chicago metro area, Peoria, Illinois, getting back toward the Quad Cities, and Davenport, Iowa, Des Moines, Iowa, getting down into portions of the Kansas City area as well, and also winter weather advisories across portions of the Northeast, stretching down the Appalachian chain as well as we move through the next couple of days. And the reason why we're seeing this is we do have an upper level low pressure system moving across the Ohio Valley and the Tennessee Valley as well through the next couple of days. And on the northern fringes of this system, we are going to have enough cold air to produce some snow, some sleet, and even some freezing rain at times across these areas as we move through the next few days. So looking here this morning across portions of Illinois, the Illinois Valley, getting through portions of the Missouri Valley, we got some snow flying across these areas here this morning with that colder air. We got a kind of a mixed bag of precipitation possible across the Ohio River Valley down into portions of Kentucky, southern Indiana, southern Illinois, where we could have some sleet, freezing rain mix in. And then to the south of there, we got some chillier rains across portions of the middle Tennessee Valley. And then farther south, maybe some rumbles of thunder here down into portions of Mississippi, Alabama, and the Georgia area around the Atlanta metro. Definitely could be seeing some heavier rainfall there. As we move into later this afternoon, that rainfall shield will start to spread a little bit farther to the east across the mid-Atlantic here, but we also do see that snowfall continuing across portions of the upper Great Lakes and the Midwest here across Wisconsin, northern Illinois, much of Michigan, and then back to the west across the Twin Cities, getting back down into the Des Moines, Iowa area. Yeah, we could be seeing light to moderate snowfall rates across these areas through the entirety of the afternoon, so that will be something to keep an eye on, and then that will continue as we head into the evening hours as well across those very same areas. Looking here a little bit closer toward the Great Lakes in the Midwest, the temperatures are going to be pretty marginal for some, snowfall to accumulate, especially on those pavement here, like asphalt or concrete, stuff like that. Might be a little tough here at first to get those initial snowfall accumulations to occur, just due to the fact that we have temperatures into the middle 30s here. Might take some time to overcome some of the warmer grounds, but once we do that, we will see some snowfall start to accumulate, and it will accumulate to around 1 to potentially up to 3 inches across some of these areas across the Great Lakes, stretching back across the Twin Cities, back across portions of Iowa, and maybe northeast Missouri as well. Looking up here across the Northeast, like I mentioned, we do have winter weather advisories across portions of Vermont, New Hampshire, getting back into western Massachusetts, Connecticut, getting back into portions there of New York State, Pennsylvania, and then all the way down the Appalachian chain there into portions of Virginia, West Virginia, and then getting a little bit farther south there from those areas as well. So let's track this across the Northeast. Late this afternoon, incoming from the west will be precipitation. We got some chillier rains across West Virginia, getting into portions of the eastern Ohio Valley as we move into late this afternoon, say 2, 3, and even 4 o'clock. And then as we move into the evening time frame, that's when the precipitation rates will start to increase here incrementally, with some heavier snowfall rates across especially northern and northeastern Pennsylvania, western New York State, where we could have up to 1 inch per hour snowfall rates at times, and then a little bit farther to the south, especially along the Appalachian chain. Again, temperatures will be pretty marginal. We will be seeing some, some lower 30s, some middle 30s out there, and a little bit of a warm nose aloft here of some temperatures moving into those areas. Still early on in the season, so we could still have some sleet, some freezing rain mixing in across some of these areas, especially as you get down into southern Pennsylvania and down the Appalachian chain. So we'll keep an eye on that. And then some chillier rains a little bit farther to the south into Maryland here, getting into portions there of New Jersey and getting down into Virginia as we have some 40s there, a little bit too warm for snowfall. So we'll continue to see some chillier rains across those areas. But like I mentioned, we do have the potential for at least a glaze of ice, potentially up to maybe 1/10 of an inch, maybe 2/10 of an inch, as much as we can get across portions of the Appalachian chain, getting up into portions of Pennsylvania, New York State, maybe northern New Jersey. Some sleet freezing rain can't be ruled out across portions of the western Massachusetts areas, getting into Connecticut or anything like that. But I do think the ice threat is a little bit more limited here, but we definitely could still see a glaze of ice, so definitely keep an eye on that. As we move into the early morning hours on your Wednesday, we'll start to spread that rain snow line a little bit farther to the south. So even if you get the snowfall in northern Pennsylvania, it will start to kind of slush over as we have more chillier rains taking over as we get into that Wednesday morning time frame here. And that's where we have those temperatures warming well above the freezing mark, and that snow line moving up into upper New York State, getting into portions of northern Vermont, New Hampshire, and then spreading up into Maine, and then even northward from there into the southeastern Canadian provinces of Ontario and even Quebec. We could be seeing some light to moderate snowfall rates there as well, before all of this starts to move out as we move in towards the evening hours on your Wednesday. Looking at the snowfall amounts here, what could accumulate on the surface here with the concrete, the asphalt, the blacktop, stuff like that. We could be seeing snowfall amounts in these winter weather advisories of around 1 to 3 inches. Yeah, there could be some heavier snowfall amounts, especially in the upper New York State, getting into northern Vermont, New Hampshire, much of Quebec, and then especially as we get up here into portions of northern Maine in the United States, we could be seeing areas approaching 7, maybe 8 inches of snow potentially, with some deeper cold air kind of locked in up there as we head through the next couple of days. So keep an eye on that. Zooming it out for you, though, this is the actual storm system here as a whole across the eastern 2/3 of the United States. Again, laying down some lighter snowfall accumulations. It's never really that big of a snowfall event, but a first snowfall event of the season, so definitely keep an eye on that here, especially if you're traveling on the roads. That will be something to keep an eye on through the next few days. But behind this system, the next big story is the colder temperatures. We're definitely going to have a colder plunge of temperatures as we move into late this week, and especially this upcoming weekend, as we have a spike in temperatures across Alaska and western Canada here. That's going to allow all that colder air to start to sink its way farther to the south across the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, and the Northeast. And that really starts to amplify in a big way as we head towards Saturday and Sunday this upcoming weekend, the 19th and 20th of November. As you can see, the pinks and purples starting to show up here across the Great Lakes, the Midwest, and the Northeast as well, as we have that very strong ridge across Alaska and the western Canadian provinces, really centered across British Columbia and Alaska here as we head towards this upcoming weekend. But as we move into early next week, we'll start to see a little bit more of a pattern change start to take place as we start to see more in the way of that warmer air starting to sink a little farther to the southeast toward the central plains. But between now and then, yeah, we're going to be seeing a lot of those colder temperatures and colder wind chills out there as we move forward. So looking here this afternoon on your Tuesday, November 15th, yeah, we got some teens and 20s across the northern plains and the Dakotas, eastern Montana, into western portions of Minnesota there. Yeah, very cold temperatures up there. 30s across the Ohio Valley, some 40s mixed in there as well. A little bit farther to the south, still chilly, but temperatures in the 50s and 60s as you get down into the deep south along the Gulf Coast. Very warm across the Florida Peninsula here, as central and southern Florida will stick the temperatures up into the the lower and middle 80s as we head into this afternoon. As we move towards that late week time frame on your Thursday, November 17th, again, that colder push of air will move farther to the south a little bit more as we move into that time frame here, as that colder air from Canada moves south, with the ridging expected to amplify across western Canada, forcing that colder air southward a little bit further, and that's where we have high temperatures. Yes, high temperatures into portions of Dakotas and portions of Montana, Wyoming, getting down into Nebraska. Yeah, some teens, even some single digits for highs cannot be ruled out. And then even as we head toward this upcoming weekend, Saturday, November 19th, that colder air will really be locked in place across the northern plains, the Midwest, and the Great Lakes, so that will be something to watch. A little bit farther to the south, we'll still have some 40s and 50s, but still chilly air for North Texas, much of Oklahoma, Arkansas. A lot of these areas will be some chilly temperatures as we head into this upcoming weekend. Looking long range, though, from the, Sunday, November 20th through the Thanksgiving time frame of Thursday, November 24th, still favoring a likely probability here from the Climate Prediction Center of below normal temperatures across much of the lower 48, really centered on the Great Lakes, the Midwest here, and the East Coast. So that will be something to keep an eye on moving towards that Thanksgiving time frame. There are some changes, though. If you don't like the colder weather, do bear with me, because we are seeing some changes potentially as we get toward the last couple of days here in November, as we have that ridge start to break down across western Canada, moving its way toward the southeast, towards the Central Plains. And by then, as we get towards the November 28th time frame, we could be talking about a little bit of a pattern change, with some warmer temperatures being introduced across these areas, with still some slightly below normal temperatures, with the departure of that trough across the eastern United States toward the end of November. And that leads us to our next subject here, which is we do have another storm system potentially to keep an eye on with that transition period toward the end of November. We have another dip in the jet stream here in the 500 millibar layer. That is actually the mid-level jet here. You could definitely see a big ridge across the west, across portions here of California, Nevada, but we do have a big trough potentially developing across the middle of the country yet again, and that could produce another storm system here. The European forecast model is putting here a 1001 millibar low pressure center somewhere across the deep south or the Tennessee Valley here towards that Thanksgiving time frame, maybe a couple of days after that. So that will be something to keep an eye on. Temperatures will be pretty marginal for what we see for in the regards to precipitation type and amounts with this system. Still up in the air right now. The European forecast model here shows some warmer 40s and upper 30s all the way up to the portions of the Wisconsin area, getting up into Iowa. So that will be something to watch. If there's some precipitation up there, we could be seeing some snow mix in, but right now early indications do show just a chilly rain across those areas, and you can see that here with maybe some chilly rains across portions of the Ohio Valley and much of the southeast here during that time frame as we get towards that Thanksgiving time frame and the couple days thereafter. The GFS, a lot warmer, actually pulls the 50 temperature line actually a little bit farther to the north towards Chicago, towards portions of Milwaukee and Michigan there as well. This might be a little too warm, I think, but kind of somewhere in between the European and GFS forecast models, what I'm thinking. I think a chillier rain, maybe some snow mixed in, would be the mode. And also the low pressure system with the GFS is a lot farther north as well, toward the upper Great Lakes. So there are some track differences. There are some differences in the magnitude of the storm system, if it does develop at all, and stuff like that. We'll keep an eye on that as we get a little bit farther out in time, closer towards that Thanksgiving holiday weekend. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Definitely remember to like the video down below by giving it a thumbs up. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. We'll get to those later on today, guys. Thank you guys so much. And also subscribe to the YouTube channel. Definitely appreciate you guys helping me out here and grow this YouTube channel a little bit further and further each day. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next video.